Today, I am going to take you through every step of making a glitter tumbler using Crystalline products. If you are new to making tumblers or you're making the switch from epoxy, I know it can be overwhelming, but I am here to break down the steps for you. If you're looking for some extra support from me, check out my Become a Tumbler Pro ebook or my Tumbler Maker Academy, where I help you learn how to make tumblers step by step so you can be absolutely confident with your skills. In this video, I'm gonna break down all of the steps to making a tumbler so you can get started right away. The first thing you need to do is get your tumblers. If you are brand new to making tumblers, I highly recommend that you use the skinny style. It is just the easiest to work with, and you can get the skinnies or the skinny straights over at crafthaven.com. Use code AllisonCrafts to save. They're just the easiest to kind of get your foot in the door. Step 2 is to prep your tumbler. I'm gonna link a video up in the top right corner that goes into a lot of detail on how to prep your tumbler and how to know if it is prepped. But basically, you have to remove the factory coating. The factory coating protects that cup from water and rust, so you could use it as is. But we need our paint and our glitter and our top coats to stick to the tumbler, so we have to remove it, either by sanding or using the crud cutter. You have to prep. Step 3 is to add your base coat. You want your base coat to match your glitter if possible. It doesn't have to be an exact match, but the closer it is to matching, the better time you're going to have. So whether you're going to use the Flippin' Awesome paints, the Universal White and the pigments, or spray paint, you have to get a base coat on your tumbler. And you need this base coat to either be Flippin' Awesome paints, the Universal White and pigments, or spray paint. Those are your 3 options that all adhere to metal and inhibit any rust. So if you are thinking about using acrylic paint for a base, you cannot use it. It is just not a good idea because it, 1, doesn't bond to metal, and 2, it does not inhibit any rust. So you cannot really start with acrylic paint on your base, but you could do Universal White or spray paint like a primer and then paint on your acrylic paint if you want. Don't hate me in the comments, it's just the way it is, and your cup is only as good as your foundation. So Universal White with the pigments or plain, Flippin' Awesome paints, or spray paint. So choose your base coat, put it on your cup. For this particular tumbler, I started with Universal White in this little cup, and then I put a few drops of the blue pigments into the Universal White. Stir it well, and I get a beautiful light blue base. I'm gonna link in the top right corner a video of me mixing up some paints. It is super fun to make custom colors. So I'm using the Crystalac brush to brush on this blue. You wanna make sure that you get it nice and streak free. So you wanna move kind of quickly. You don't wanna do too many brush strokes. But underneath glitter, you're gonna need probably 2 to 3 coats of your paints. It really depends on what is happening next, but let each coat dry for 4 hours. For this cup, I did 2 coats, each letting dry for 4 hours. Step 3 is to apply your glitter. I'm going to show you here the steps to applying, sealing, and flattening your glitter using the Crystalac glitter glue. When you use the glitter glue to apply your glitter, I like to use a Taklon brush. I will link a list to my Amazon shop that you can see that I like these Taklon brushes. I think they do the best job. You want to continually brush out the glitter glue so it is completely flat. You almost can't even see it once you are done really brushing it all out. You should not see any clumps of glue because those will show through your glitter. So go around and brush it completely smooth before you add your glitter. This is Ice Blue from Glitzy Creations. It's a beautiful iridescent blue that looks really great over a light blue base. Again, the light blue base is because I'm using a light blue glitter. So once you get on your glitter, you're going to let it dry for 2 hours. Then you can go in and dry brush your glitter. When you go in for the sealing process, it's really important that you do that dry brush. Take a damp Taklon brush this time to spread around your glitter glue because, again, you want it to be as smooth as possible. It won't level out, so you need to brush it out smooth so you get a good finish. So once you do that, I will let it spin for 2 hours. Because it's a little watery and runny, it works best if you hop it right on your cup turner and let it dry for 2 hours. After that 2 hours is up, you can roll your cup in parchment paper to flatten your glitter. It just helps cut down on the total number of Brite Tone layers that you're going to need to finish the cup if you get your glitter nice and flat. You can also use a brayer roller to help get it super, super flat. Step 4, you're going to add your Brite Tone. When you add your Brite Tone, you can either use your brush or your finger. It is completely personal preference. Here I'm using a brush. You just want to make sure you do thin coats and let each coat dry for 4 hours before you recoat with another. The whole process of getting a nice, smooth, and shiny finish comes from layers and layers and layers of Brite Tone. You need to build up those coats to get a smooth surface and a shiny surface. So you're gonna do about 4 or 5 coats of Brite Tone. Let each coat dry for 4 hours, and then give it a light sand with 400 grit sandpaper. So after you do those 4 coats, grab your 400 grit sanding pad or just regular sandpaper, but 400 grit, and give it a light sanding. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on your very first sand. You can add more pressure on your second or third go. I know it can be scary to sand your tumbler, but it is the only way you're going to get that smooth and shiny finish. So do 4 coats of Brite Tone, 4 hours apart, and then give it a light sand. You can rinse your tumbler with water or a damp paper towel to get off any of the dust particles, and then continue that process. You're gonna continue doing 3 coats of Brite Tone, sand with 400 grit sandpaper. 3 coats of Brite Tone, sand with 400 grit sandpaper, until you have a smooth surface. Once you have a smooth surface, you can move on to step 6, which is adding your decal. You have so many different options in terms of decals, water slides, tattoos, vinyl, printable vinyl, anything that you really want to put on the cup, you can, and you're going to do it as soon as you have a smooth finish. And then the last step is to just finish up your tumbler. You're going to want to add coats of Brite Tone over the top of your decal. What you can do is do about 3 or 4 coats of Brite Tone and just sand right over your vinyl decal, and then finish up your cup with about 3 or 4 more coats of Brite Tone, and then you are done. If you want to learn more about how to come up with tumbler designs, where to get glitter, how to pair glitters, getting different colors, all of what goes into designing a tumbler, make sure you join my 5-day tumbler design challenge. We kick off later this month, and we're gonna spend 5 days together learning how to design new tumblers and get you organized to make your next 10 tumblers. You can join for $10, and I will put the link up on your screen right now. If you want to learn more about the different methods to applying glitter, I'm going to talk about using glitter glue and Brite Tone in the video on your screen.